spit out what you're eating right now. And give me your attention for just a second. I want you to picture your ancient ancestor from 60,000 years ago. He is living in a world completely alien to the one you're living in. Now picture dropping that same ancient human in a modern supermarket. He starts scanning around. Everywhere he looks, rows of bread he didn't need, mountains of sugar he didn't risk getting, meat wrapped in plastic he didn't have to hunt, fruit from every season, all available right in front of him in full display. To you, what is just another nameless supermarket you pass through on autopilot? For your ancient ancestors, he just entered a paradise. Without hesitation, he starts grabbing from shelves, eating like all this food might vanish any second. How would his body react to all of this nutrition overload? Would he get fat? Can he? What stopped them in ancient times? And the answer is not just they moved more. It is much stranger than that. But first, before we go deeper, we need to understand something most people skip. Getting fat is not a modern feature. Your body did not suddenly learn to turn extra energy into stored fat because someone opened a bakery next to a gas station. Though fast food definitely contributes to obesity, it is much older than that. To an ancient human body, fat was insurance. It is energy your body can carry, a backup battery made of flesh. And for most of human history, that was useful because food was not guaranteed. A day-long hunt could be followed by nothing. A berry patch that fed you for weeks could be stripped empty overnight. A healthy body needed a way to survive the empty space between meals. But before we can answer that question, we first need to figure out what kind of world lets a human stay fat. And this is where most people get the story wrong. They imagine ancient humans as these permanently shredded survival machines, six-pack cavemen, Stone Age athletes, everyone sprinting after deer with the body fat percentage of a fitness influencer who owns too much protein powder. But ancient humans were not magically immune to gaining fat. Their bodies had the same basic storage system yours does. Eat more energy than you need, and the body tries to save the extra. That part is ancient. In fact, some of the oldest human figurines ever found show fuller bodies and features that seem to emphasize stored body fat. Which means ancient people clearly understood fatness. They could recognize it. They could carve it. Maybe they even saw it as powerful, because gaining fat requires more than one lucky meal. It requires consistency, repeated surplus, days, weeks, months where more energy comes in than goes out. And that was the hard part. A successful hunt could flood the group with meat. A fruit season could feel generous. A beehive could produce a little bit of honey. But then the landscape changed. Animals moved. Plants stopped producing. Weather shifted. Food spoiled. There was no pantry full of backup snacks. The leftovers did not sit safely in a freezer waiting for a midnight decision you would regret. No delivery driver bringing you ready-to-eat comfort food because your mood had a rough afternoon. So ancient humans did not live in a world without calories. They lived in a world where calories were unreliable. And that creates the next mystery. If their bodies could store fat, but their food supply kept interrupting the process, what changed when humans started finding ways to make food more predictable? The obvious answer seems simple: farming. Once humans learned to grow food, store grain, keep animals, and live in permanent settlements, calories became more predictable. Not equal, not always abundant, but more predictable than chasing food across a landscape that kept changing its mind. And predictability matters, because if fat gain means repeated surplus, then the first step is building a world where surplus can repeat. But stop here for just a moment, because most people assume ancient humans stayed lean for one main reason. They moved more, they walked more, they hunted more. They did not spend 9 hours sitting in a chair slowly becoming furniture. And yes, movement mattered, but in 2012, an anthropologist named Herman Pontzer and his team went to study the Hadza, a hunter-gatherer group in northern Tanzania. The Hadza lived much closer to a foraging lifestyle than people in industrial cities. They walk, climb, gather, hunt, and move through their environment every day. So Pontzer expected their bodies to burn far more calories than Western bodies. That would make sense. More movement should mean more total energy burn. But when the team measured their daily energy expenditure using doubly labeled water, basically a way of tracking how much energy a body uses in real life, the result was surprising. The Hadza were more active. They were also leaner, but after adjusting for body size, they did not burn dramatically more total calories per day than Westerners. Which means the story cannot just be ancient people moved more, so they stayed thin. That is too easy. The real difference may be that their food sources made constant overeating difficult. Their bodies were active, yes, but more importantly, their environment did not keep handing them dense, soft, processed calories every few hours. So if movement is not the whole answer, what exactly is modern food doing to the ancient brain? Modern food food is not just more available. It is easier to overeat. That sounds obvious, but the details matter. Because your ancient brain was not designed to handle food that arrives soft, sweet, salty, fatty, cheap, and ready in 2 minutes. For most of human history, calories came with friction. You had to chew, walk, dig, peel, hunt, wait, share, and sometimes fail. The food itself slowed you down, but modern processed food removes friction. It lets calories enter faster than your body can properly notice. In 2019, a researcher named Kevin Hall tested this in a controlled experiment at the National Institutes of Health. 20 adults lived inside a research clinic. For 2 weeks, they ate mostly unprocessed foods. For another 2 weeks, they ate ultra-processed foods. Hall designed the meals to look surprisingly similar on paper. Same presented calories, similar sugar, similar fat, similar carbs, similar sodium, and people could eat as much or as little as they wanted. I'm sure you now have this exact question in mind. If it's the same calories in both categories, then shouldn't both groups consume the same amount? Actually, you're wrong. On the ultra-processed diet, people ate about 500 extra calories per day. Not because they were suddenly weaker, not because they forgot discipline in the hallway. The food was simply easier to eat more of, faster, softer, more rewarding, less filling in the right way. So modern food does not just feed your body, it bypasses the ancient brakes, the signals that told your brain to stop eating. And that is the deeper answer. Ancient humans had bodies that were designed to store fat aggressively, because you may or may not eat something tomorrow. But modern humans built a food environment that keeps flooding your body storage again and again and again. And the guardrails are not firing correctly to stop you in time. But let's move the camera a little bit and focus on a part most people overlook completely. If fat was so hard to maintain in ancient life, how did ancient humans see fat from a cultural point of view? And this is where the story flips completely, because today we often talk about fat like it is failure, a lack of control, a personal mistake, a mind that lost the argument with its body. But in the ancient world, fat may have meant something completely different. If food was unreliable, then extra body fat was not automatically shameful. It could mean survival, it could mean stored energy, it could mean fertility, it could mean your body had enough reserves to survive sickness, pregnancy, winter, or a season when the world stopped cooperating. And this may be why some of the oldest human figurines ever found show female bodies with enlarged bellies, hips, breasts, and thighs. We do not know exactly what these figures meant. Nobody left a little stone note saying, "This is about body positivity." Annoying, I know, but they show us something important. Ancient people did not just notice fatness, they gave it meaning, which means the story of fat was never only biological. In a hungry world, fat could look like protection, a symbol of wealth. In an abundant world, fat can look like excess, and a sign of absent self-control. Same biology. But the environment shapes humans' opinion and their cultures differently. So think about your life right now. Every time you open your fridge, order food, walk past a bakery, or grab a snack without thinking, you are living inside a world your ancient body was never prepared for. Your body still treats calories like they matter, because for most of human history, they did. Ancient humans did not have perfect discipline. Their world had discipline built into it. Getting fat is not a glitch. It is storage, insurance, a way to carry tomorrow with you. The problem is that tomorrow changed. The hunt is gone. The berry patch is gone. The long empty stretch between meals is gone. So maybe the question was never really, could ancient humans get fat? Yes, they could. The better question is, what happens when an ancient survival system meets a modern world that never stops feeding it? Because your body is not confused, it is doing exactly what it was built to do. The advancement in agricultural technology has completely altered your lifestyle, your diet, and your relationship with food. But it did not change how your body reacts to it. You are still carrying an ancient storage system, a system built for a world where food disappears without a warning, still watching, still saving, still preparing for a famine that may never come.